Then I woke up to the last voice I wanted to hear. Saying, "Why are you sleeping like this in front of the room door, my son? Anyway, I'm sorry that I couldn't find someone to fix what you want to fix. But don't worry. Tomorrow I will get one for you." Now I had every reason to join the mental hospital. Then I started screaming at Jaber, cursing him with violent words and asking him about Tom. And before I told him what happened to me last night, Jaber left me without any introductions and took quick steps upstairs with a worrying smile on his face. And with every step up, Jaber loses his human image in order to turn into that hateful creature again at the end of the building. Then I decided to run away from that entire place. And without even gathering my things, I quickly headed towards the basement of the building. But I could not stop myself from thinking about what happened with me yesterday. How no one came to Jaber when Tom came to me last night. Who is Tom then? "We found Tom hanged in the bathroom of the room 5 years ago," Escalar answered me from behind. She answered a question without a question. I could not even respond to what she said to me. So she continued, saying, "People warned you about that room before entering it. But not your mistake alone. If it weren't for Jaber, you would not have even heard about the room." Here I decided to ask her about everything that was happening around me and what was the secret of that room. And before I could say a word, she said, "There is no time to ask now. When you meet Adam, he will tell you with whatever you need." Then she set off quickly with the same speed as Jaber's strange speed. And yes, she was also transforming from her human form into that terrifying form. Without even thinking about what she said and without inquiring about the nature of Adam, I decided to run away from all those details and continued descending from the building. On my way to the basement, I found a boy looking at me from behind the door of the apartment with the same cold smile on his face, and a sound of laughter came out of him. But it was of an adult man. Anyway, I continued downstairs and did not think much. But the unfortunate thing is that I met the boy again with the same suspicious laugh. I automatically went downhill very quickly. Then I discovered with shock that I return to the same point every time and meet the same boy. But every time I repeat passing by the boy, he also loses his human image and turns into that hideous form. Until he close to reaching the final form of those creatures. Here I decided that I would not go down again and would watch the child from above. Then I headed towards the stair railing very slowly, but I did not find anything at first. Until I found the boy's head looking at me with great speed. However, this time his smile was replaced by signs of intense anger after he discovered I will not go down this time. He decided to chase me upstairs. And indeed the boy headed towards me with all speed, and I saw just a shadow heading towards me. Here I found my feet dragging me upwards very quickly, and terror filled me and my mind almost stopped working. I continued on climb to the top without even looking back until the boy's voice disappeared. Then I stopped and caught my breath with all difficulty, wondering about the moment when my heart would decide to surrender to what was happening and leave this bitter reality. And when I raised my eyes, I found that room again. But it was completely burned, and the entire building was older than it was before. At that time I found an old man in the room looking at me sarcastically, saying, "Without that amulet you are imprisoned in that building. Even if you try all your life. And in order to take that amulet you must pay the price. And the price is half of your life." And because the amount of horror that filled me, I agreed without any thought. The old man replied happily, saying, "Say it clearly." "I agree." I told him. "Before I say it, tell me who is the boy downstairs?" He replied, saying, "Yes, you mean Oscar, the room guard. This boy's whole mission is to keep you in constant motion. And if he catches you one time, he keeps a part of you as a souvenir. Then after that, he continues to watch you while you try to escape. And if you stop, he will repeat what he is doing to you. And mentioning the boy, be quicker to agree because he has become closer than you expect now. Indeed, I found the sounds of his feet approaching us, and I quickly said, "I agree." Then the old man smiled eagerly and straightened his back after it had been bent and gave me a strong hug. Then he remained like this for a short period of time, and I was catching my breath with all difficulty. Until I discovered that the man was crushing me. And every time that passed for us like this, his strength was increasing and I was decreasing until my ribs almost penetrated my lungs. And here the man who was no longer old left me laughing out loud, saying, "You were going to die at 62 years old, now you will die at 31. Be careful, death is closer now. But I am 29 years old now. This means that I will die after 2 years." He kept laughing and laughing in a frightening voice, and as the volume of his laughter grew louder he began to appear in his true form. Yes, he is the devil. He deceived me with his winning trick. After I discovered his truth, I took the amulet and started jumping down with all my strength. And I found the boy in the same situation as before. But this time, after he saw the amulet around my neck, the expression of anger returned to his face. Then he opened the door of the apartment and ran towards me with all speed. But with the presence of the amulet my speed increased noticeably. Until I was finally able to exit from the door of the building. But after I left the door of the building I was surprised by people gathering around me in great confusion. Then I fainted from the length of the running period. Then after that I woke up in a grocery store after people around me woke me up. And people started asking about what I saw in that building and whether anyone was still inside. The blood almost clotted in my veins after I became certain of my suspicions. And after people told me the truth about this building. The building had burned down 5 years ago and no one had entered it since that period until I got out from it. Now, all that time I was living in an abandoned building and dealing with creatures. I know nothing about it. I want to return to my village immediately. Then I ran randomly far away from that hateful building and I had no idea where to go or to whom to talk to tell them what happened to me in that accursed room, where I let my feet drag me to the farthest place from it, and in fact I arrived in a completely remote and very crowded place. And I started asking about the way to my village and people showed me a train that passed by my village on its way. I did not hesitate to book the journey to the end of the nightmare. And I did not allow my conscience to prevent me from stealing a man's wallet in the crowd. So that I could book the journey to the end of the nightmare and buy some food since all my luggage and money were in the room. And indeed the train began to move, its whistle announcing the beginning of the journey to the end of the nightmare. Which I later discovered was the journey to the dark part of the nightmare.